Hey everybody, it's Party Leech here with another episode of Total Breakdown. Today we've got a fantastic battle at Aceling's Conclave between the Beastmen of Shetland Apache and the Lizardmen of Aerocrastic. Just a reminder that Shetland Apache is a consistent streamer and hosts many tournaments, and I've linked to his channel in the description down below. He's definitely worth checking out. We begin, of course, with talk of composition and deployment, and I love, among many things, that you can almost tell that there's a intention for an envelopment going on the layout over here from the Beastmen. Let's start with them. We do have none other than Malagor the Dark Omen in charge, and up front you can see we've got some Ungor Spearmen herd over here with shields, some more over here as well, except they're the Destroyers of the Drakewall, the Regiment of Renown. We've also got some Gore herd with shields over here, and right behind that front line we've got the Bestigor herd to the left here, and to the right over here we have the Koroks Man-Rippers, Bestigor herd Regiment of Renown that is actually anti-large as well as armor-piercing, and right behind them we have the Gorbel, also anti-large and armor-piercing, with some Ungor Spearmen herd, this time without shields, bringing up the rear. So of course a fair bit of anti-large capabilities over here, and a fair bit of anti-large armor piercing as well. While to the right over here you can see we've got a pair of Harpies up in the air. We've got the Chaos Warhounds with poison, and as is pretty typical with the Beastmen, they are paired with some Senegor with great weapons, one of them being the Sons of Koros. So they are actually the Senegor with great weapon, Regiment of Renown, coming in with some magical damage. The Guardian trait, they're an interesting pick. And all the way off to the side over here as well, Vanguard deployed, we've got a pair of Senegor, just regular Senegor, I think, there to shut down any skirmishers, any skinks that the Lizardmen might bring to the field. Now, the Lizardmen themselves are being led by a Slann Mage Priest of the Heavens, and up front you can see we've got a pair of skink cohorts to the left, a pair of skink cohorts to the right, but they are being supported by an ancient Stegodon that's marching forth with them. In the middle here, we've got a pair of Saurus Warriors. Right behind that central point, we have some Feral Cold Ones, as well as the Saurus Spears over here. And then we've got some Skink Skirmishers, so only this one unit of Skink Skirmishers. So the Senegor that were coming in to shut down, I think a bunch of them are going to be a little disappointed perhaps. And then we've got some more Feral Cold Ones back here, and then a pair of Cold One Spear Riders to the left, and another pair to the right. And these guys are armor-piercing and anti-large, very quick to move around as well, so they'll spend a lot of time coming in with some nice flanking opportunities to shut down the Beastmen. Let's take a look at how this all breaks down. As to this flank over here, you can see a lot of aggression pushing in towards these skink cohorts, trying to shut that right flank down as quickly as possible. Again, like I said, they're positioned for an envelopment to push in from multiple directions over here and then fold in on the enemy. And take a look at this great micromanagement here, trying to just hesitate and pick the right targets over here. These skink cohorts push forward a little bit too far, and in come the Chaos Warhounds with poison, but a commitment from these Cold One Spear Riders as well as these Senegor with their great weapons dive in. So take a look at that as the full engagement begins on this right flank over here, and a lot of damage coming through from all of those Beastmen as the front lines engage as well. The Gore herd dives into the Skin cohort over here. We've got the front lines fully closing in. The Ancient Stegodon about to drive right through the Bestigor herd, and again, the Ancient Stegodon is, of course, anti-infantry and armor-piercing in melee, and it just goes diving right through the Bestigor herd here, trying to cause a fair bit of damage to this very threatening unit. The Bestigor herd are, of course, very scary over here, and you can see at the same time on the right flank over here, as these Senegor are pushing in to provide some support, we also have some magical support coming in from that Slann Mage Priest in the form of the Curse of the Midnight Wind, just reducing armor and melee attacks significantly across the board over here. And you can see that is going to provide some support, but it does very little as the Lizardmen are completely falling apart. Traderkin upgraded comes in as well over here, and you can see the right flank has already fallen, and these guys are able to push in with their envelopment. As over here you can see we've got these Skink Skirmishers pushing in to provide some support, but the Harpies dive in and intercept any of that range support, while here as well you can see the Bestigor herd are able to push through the Skink cohort over here, very free to come in from the rear as well. But over here you can see we've got all of these Cold One Spear Riders as well as the Feral Cold Ones coming in for that very wide flanking maneuver as that right flank continues to collapse, and the Beastmen just push with great aggression over here. And you can see we actually get a nice use of Banishment over here, trying to cause a fair bit of damage to this clump of cavalry. The Sons of Goros are going to get a fair bit of damage coming in from that Banishment. Again, it'll pin them in place, and we also have the Banishment coming in right over some Koroks Man-Rippers, whose health has dropped to about 50% with the help of the Banishment there, alongside some damage coming in from the Saurus Warriors here as well. And meanwhile, you can see back here, we actually have this flanking maneuver coming in and getting a nice rear charge into the Ungor Spearman herd to that left flank over there. A nice rear charge there, dropping the morale significantly, while these Cold One Spear Riders, again, exhibiting a lot of patience, pushing through, trying to get some charges further, deeper down into this formation. While over here, you can see we've got the Gorbel picking a fight with the Ancient Stegodon and being tossed back. The Ancient Stegodon here has to be very picky with its targets immediately immediately takes care of the destroyers of the Drakwald, and you can see we've got these Cold One Spear Riders now pushing in, clumping in towards the Gorbel. They will surround that Gorbel and start chipping away at its health, while you can see back here we've got the Senegor and the Senegor with great weapons pushing in against the Slann Mage Priest of Heavens, using the aura of Quetzal there to try and provide some support, bring up that melee defense and the armor as well, while here on this left flank you can see the Skink Cohort completely giving up on the fight as the Bestigor Herd as well as the Ungor Spearman Herd here have that superiority. The Feral Cold Ones come in for another charge, try to reduce these Bestigor Herd if possible, but here you can see the Gorbel is absolutely falling apart against these Cold One Spear Riders. Even though that would hypothetically be an ideal engagement, the Gorbel is just being chipped away because of the sheer multitude of spears over there, and at the same time we've got the Senegor with great weapons over here responding to the situation as the Ancient Stegodon is picking a fight with, I think, over here, Malagor the Dark Omen, who in turn responds with Vile Tide atop these Cold One Spear Riders, trying to get a fair bit of damage in there, trying to free up the Gorbel as well, I think, trying to get it to pull back into safety and maybe pick some better engagements than these anti-large armor-piercing Cold One Spear Riders. So as they pull back, you can see the Shield of the Old Ones was active as well in this clump here, trying to provide some support, bring up leadership as well as that resistance, but not doing too much over here in this clump, I think mainly to help keep the front line engaged and fighting, but unfortunately that front line seems to be collapsing very quickly over here. The Gorbel, though, has been surrounded, and in comes the Curse of the Midnight Wind in this massive clump. Great target selection there, just reducing the armor and melee attack of all of these units, and you can see the Lizardmen are actually having a decent time over here. The Cold One Spear Riders are able to scare off the Senegor with their great weapons. They're able to scare off the Sons of Gorus here as well. The Ancient Stegodon doing a lot of work as well, just diving around, throwing these Bestigor Herd back, turning around, chasing after the Harpies, chasing after Malagor the Dark Omen as well, and the Slann Mage Priest does have to be very careful as Malagor gets engaged over there and might cause a fair bit of damage. We've got the Gorbel here as well, who will be able to take down that Slann Mage Priest, and you can see right now we've got the Cold One Spear Riders giving up on the fight, pulling back, but we have at the same time these destroyers of the Drakewald returning to the fight, and the Senegor with great weapons as well, turning around, getting a nice rear charge into these Cold One Spear Riders. Is off in the distance over here, you can see we get these Skink Skirmishers being shut down by that Vile Tide over here. A decent bit of damage being done, tossing some of those skirmishers around, and the Senegor here as well are able to close the gap and of course shut them down once and for all. While in the center back over here you can see Malagor the Dark Omen not actually having the best of times. He is fully surrounded. We've got some of these Saurus warriors enraged right now, just beating away at Malagor the Dark Omen, and his morale and health dropping very quickly. As you can see back here as well, the Slann Mage Priest not in an ideal situation either. He's at 50% health. He's got a lot more morale, but he does need to pull away from there as the destroyers of the Drakewald close the gap over here against the Cold One Spear Riders as well as the Slann Mage Priest. But you do see that great use of the aura of Quetzal over here, increasing melee defense and armor significantly. So beautifully done there, bringing melee defense up to like 54 for these Cold One Spear Riders. That will help them in the situation against the destroyers of the Drakewald. They'll stay there for long enough for these Saurus warriors to close the gap and maybe take care of the destroyers over here. While over here you can see the Ancient Stegodon giving chase to Malagor the Dark Omen, trying to shut down Beastmen leadership once and for all, tossing him back over there, driving right through Korok's Man-Rippers as well. These Man-Rippers turn around and try to poke and prod at the Ancient Stegodon, but the Ancient Stegodon also has the assistance of the aura of Quetzal, making his melee defense a huge 60. So that's going to do a lot of work for the Ancient Stegodon over there. In comes some of these Senegor as well, just trying to shut down that giant beast over there. We've got these Harpies returning to the fight as well, and to the left flank as well you can see we've got these Harpies pushing in, trying to get a nice surround, maybe some rear charges from multiple directions onto the Lizardmen over here. You can see the Slann Mage Priest is actually able to get away with 50% health, so took a few risks there, but is now able to get away from those massive clumps and pick engagements a bit more wisely. You can see the Harpies decide to dive in on these Saurus spears, but that's obviously not an ideal engagement. They immediately pull back into safety and take to the air, while back to the side over here you can see these Harpies immediately terrified away because of the Ancient Stegodon. And now we've got over here the Gore Herds pushing forth to get involved against some of these units, but the Ancient Stegodon has something to say about that, throws the Gore Herd back, and at the same time, almost like it's, you know, teamwork over here, perfectly choreographed, the Banishment gets activated as well. Unfortunately, the Banishment is wasted. It does nothing because those Gore were already dead by the time they were tossed back into the Banishment, I think. But the Ancient Stegodon there doing a lot of work, and then now looking to turn around and just completely destroy this unit of Goreherd with shields. While back here you can see we actually have the Cold One Spear Riders just finishing off the Senegor as well, as Malagor the Dark Omen decides to get involved over here again, managing to get some work done, managing to actually scare these Cold One Spear Riders away. They do begin to rout right away. And over here we've got Korok's Man-Rippers once more willing to get involved. They might need to push into, well, maybe not the Ancient Stegodon. The Ancient Stegodon is still at, you know, about 50% health there, above 50% health, so that's more than enough to take care of the current situation. Back here you can see the Harpies are getting some work done, scaring off some of these Lizardmen units, getting some Shatters to come in, trying to bring that balance right back to the middle over here as the Slann Mage Priest pops the Shield of the Old Ones again, I think trying to just support leadership more than anything else, while back here we get a Wind Blast taking care of the Gore Herd back there once and for all, and you can see the Beastmen have been well taken care of. A valiant defeat. It was great to see how differently the two flanks played out. On the right flank, we saw the Beastmen come in with their brute strength and managed quite well, holding off against the effects of magical stat reduction and just forcing an envelopment right down to the center. On the other side, meanwhile, we had a great hammer and anvil being set up with a wide maneuver using Lizardmen cavalry, exhibiting some great patience despite seeing half the army collapse. But when it all came to a head, the Lizardmen were able to completely flip the situation, and the Beastmen found themselves fully surrounded, being whittled away by some great use of magic and maneuverability. The battle felt over for the Lizardmen within the first few minutes, but it seems the Beastmen are mere boys in front of the Lizards. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content and keep sending in those battle replays. I do think it's one of the best ways to learn, and it's always nice to highlight such amazing battles from the community. I'd also like to thank all of my patrons for supporting the channel on a month-to-month basis, making a huge difference, keeping us alive and running smoothly. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.